Hello everyone. Thank you for coming. How are you guys doing today? Good, good. Yeah, the sun is shining now and the rain is over. That's very good. So before I would like to begin, if you have a little blue prayer book with you guys, I would like to recite, it's called Words of Truth, the Dharma of the Right Mind. But these are words that were channeled through our Master Okawa. And it was channeled through the consciousness of Shakyamuni Buddha. So it is the words that came directly from Buddha. And in Buddhism, we see the words of Buddha very, 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 very important. It is like a compass that is facing north for our lives. So before we get into the service, I would like to recite this together. The priest, I will recite the title first. And then after that, you may follow with me.
Words of truth, the Dharma of the right mind. In the great universe is light, and light is the life of Buddha.
All right, thank you very much. Was it your first time reciting the sutra for some of us? First time? First times?
Yes.
Yes. So the more you do it, the funny thing is you start feeling like energy or light. And you start feeling this really warm feeling in your hearts or in your palms. And when that starts to happen, it means that you are becoming very spiritual. And that is what Happy Science is about. So we are trying to cultivate the spirituality of each and every human being. Because we are all spiritual. Even if you deny it, we are all spiritual. Because there are moments in life where sometimes you're thinking of something and that thought is transmitted to the other person without verbal communication. You sometimes can understand. I can understand Randy sometimes while we're not even speaking. Right, Randy? Yes, that's how close we are. But anyways, have you ever had those moments in life where you can kind of understand the other person feeling, even if they're not in the same room, or even if they're not even in the same building? You're thinking of something, and then you give them a call, and then they're having some, bad times in life, or they're kind of depressed, and then you notice, oh, so that's why I was thinking of her, or of him. So human beings, we're spiritual in nature. And today, I would like to talk about something called Invincible Thinking. It's based on this book that was published by Master Okawa. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I am super happy today because we have 3 new people in the room today. And it just makes me so happy, so happy when we find out that new people are getting and tapping into these new teachings. And this philosophy, invincible thinking, I tell you, when you walk out of this room today, you're going to be a different person. You'll be a different soul. You'll feel so enthusiastic about your life. All of your sufferings and failures will look like shining gold. I assure you this and I promise you this. So let's get through these teachings. So the subtitle is, there is no such thing as defeat. This is our goal today. I want you to be able to say in your lives, there's no such thing as defeat. No such thing as failure in my life. But in order to get into this philosophy, I'm going to have to introduce the basic teachings of what we learn in Happy Science. And that is these 3 bullet points. First though, reincarnation. Who's heard of reincarnation? Yes. Reincarnation is like the philosophy where you're born again. So let's say that I die. I was actually about to die this morning, but I'll share you this story later on. I literally like fell on the kitchen floor, and I thought I was gonna pass away because I don't know why, I woke up really early this morning, and I went out on a jog, but then like I only had like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. That's why I had a Red Bull on my table. But I went going jogging, right? I come back, and then I'm just getting prepared, eating breakfast. All of a sudden, like everything starts to seem very white, and like everything's turning like the colors, like the brown doesn't look brown, the red doesn't look red. I was like, what is going on? And then so I stood up, and I got this big, like really dizzy feeling. Boom! It just collapsed on the floor. But what this was obviously over fatigue, and I wasn't consuming enough water. Yes, I was very, very dehydrated. So then I just drank 2 bottles of water, and now I'm totally fine. Anyway, that has nothing to do with today's session. But anyway, so reincarnation, let's say I have died this morning on the kitchen floor. If I have died, what would you think would happen to me? Michael?
You would be taken to the hospital.
Thank you. All right. So now let's take it a step at a time. So probably Yamana Takanori was here the earliest this morning. So he would probably come in and he'd be like, "What?" So he'd call an ambulance and I'd go to the hospital. And then let's say that my heart stopped beating. What do you think would happen to me next? Vivid? Go to heaven, thank you. I've lived a positive life. Yes, thank you for not saying I will go to hell. Thank you. Yes, that's what we believe. If you live a good life, you will go to heaven. Then, Yoko-san, what happens after I live in heaven for a few years, a few hundred years?
Actually, it depends on the people how many hours you stay in the body even after physically death. But eventually your soul is, that coming out from your body.
Mm-hmm. And is released, goes to the spiritual world, lives in heaven for, few hundred years, and then Mimi, what happens to me after that?
You're gonna get bored there.
I'm gonna get bored there. I like this procedure. I'm gonna get so bored of heaven because everything is so happy. Everything is so good. And the funny thing is, in the spiritual world, there's something called the laws of attraction. So when you're in the spiritual world, you're surrounded by the same kind of people. So I'm gonna be living with a lot of Yushis. I don't wanna live there for too long. I want to be is enough. So then I get bored, and then what happens, Randy?
Well, depending on what happens in your mind, or what you're thinking about, you can either go up or
Go down.
and
Okay.
and you'll experience new experiences, new thoughts, and if you progress, you can keep going
To higher
levels.
realms. Okay.
So if you reach that level where you stop, now you have to think, okay, now what do I do? This is, I think I need to do more training.
Training. For that more training, what do I do, Julie?
Then, if you want it really in detail, then the thing is that you really are looking towards reincarnation because it's on Earth that you can really, say for instance, you're at a level 6 and you can return to a level 6. Now the thing is that if you want to evolve to a higher level of 7 or 8, the only place you can do it is you have to come back to Earth. Do what your problems facing your life, your life book of problems to be solved, your karma, etc. This is where you want to come. But before you do that, you have to have parents, etc. So you have to go and find really the parents that will agree to be your parents here. And through that relationship with the parents that agree, that's to get what you really need to get to evolve to that 8th or 7th stage. That's where the agreement is made. And then,
And then I'm born here on earth. Round of applause to these very spiritual, intellectual people. Great.
With no memory of your past life.
There you go. With no memory of your past life. That's a very important point. Because let's say I was a billionaire in my past life, right? And then I was born into my parents and they're very poor. And then I'd be a baby popping out from my mother being like, "You're so poor! I was so rich in my last life." That would be a hideous baby. And you would not be able to love that baby. So we forget everything in the past life. But anyway, so we go through reincarnation. It's a very important process for our souls to develop. It's an important process for our characteristic to progress. But how does it progress? How do we go to that higher awareness? That is by this sentence. Life is a workbook of problems to be solved. So, this is a sentence that Master Okawa has, I would say, invented. He has invented this teaching. And so we look at life as a workbook of problems. The reason why we have to solve it is because, like we've been saying, for our spiritual growth. And what's our crucial, there's different levels of problems though in our lives. Very minor ones and sometimes very huge ones. Those huge ones are your karma. Now let me give you an explanation of this reincarnation and karma in a little diagram. So we all have something called guardian spirits. A guardian spirit. Have you ever heard of a guardian angel or that kind of term? Guardian spirit? A spirit that's always by you, protecting you? That is the truth. We all have them. But who is it? They are your soul siblings. Now, soul siblings are made out of 6 different souls. And these 6 different souls make one entity. It's kind of hard to explain this, but like, right here, how many fingers do I have? 5. How many palms do I have? 1. How many hands do I have? 1. So a palm and 5 fingers, that's 6 parts. That's 6 parts, but it's still 1 hand. And with this 1 hand, I can pick up this mic. So that's how our souls work. The 6 parts are together to form one purpose, soul training. And usually there's 1 core spirit and there's 5 branch spirits. And we take turns when we are born to Earth. So out of, let's say this is my core spirit, I'm born here right now. I have a guardian spirit with me. But there's 4 others that are in heaven doing their own things. And as you can see, every time we're born, the person that's going to be born the next time is going to be the guardian spirit. And then when he passes away, he's going to be born, and then the next guy is going to be the guardian spirit. And so we take turns in our soul training. And by doing this, what happens is that we come to this world, we leave, we come to this world, we leave, we come, we leave, we come, we leave. We do this, and as you can see, the light is shining. This light shining is expressing our souls growing. Our souls are growing through all of these reincarnations. However, while we are born here on Earth, we make something called a soul tendency. We all have different characteristics, right? We're all different individuals. But these characteristics are not just in the DNA. It's not just functioned in the brain. It's actually a tendency of our soul. So usually our souls have a tendency through all these numerous reincarnations, and that tendency sometimes can be good, but also it can be very, very bad. I think we've seen a few friends in our lives who goes through the same type of brick wall. They go to the same problem over and over again. They're hitting the same brick wall, they're doing the same mistakes, even in different situations. there are younger members here today, so let me explain in a love relationship. Let's say you are a guy and you asked out this fine, beautiful lady, and then she turned you down. And you give every shot, you gave everything to that moment. You bought her flowers, you took her to the nicest restaurant, you paid the bill even though it's kind of hard for your wallets to do, and then you ask her out and she dumped you. What happens is, we get this little fear towards women. So, when we meet another girlfriend to be in the future, we suddenly think, oh, she's going to dump me again. And then superficially, you try to get close to her, but in the end, you make some stupid mistake and you're dumped again. This happens to young males many times. And let's say that the girl that dumped you was wearing a red dress. You start having fear towards the color red. So they go through the same little mistakes. That's in this one lifetime. But what I'm talking about here as a karma is in our past lives. The way we lived in our past life is carried over into this life. And we're going to have to face that. And by facing this, we grow and we gain a higher awareness. Now, going back to the theme of invincible thinking, why is invincible thinking important? First of all, invincible thinking is a philosophy where you learn from any kind of situation, even from success or even from failures. You learn from every situation. That is why there's no such thing as defeat. Because even if it looks like failure, it's just a seed of the success for the future. If you're succeeding, what this tells you is you will learn how to develop that success into even greater success and how to accumulate virtue as a human being. So this invincible thinking is very powerful. Why do we need it? Because human beings, we make mistakes. And we suffer. We go through a lot of suffering. And we do make mistakes. That is why when you make that failure, or when you're in the ups in your lives, you're going to need this. Then how do we apply invincible thinking into our daily lives? Let's learn from great leaders in the past. They had 4 common traits. First of all, they never attribute their hardships to others. Second, they accept what fate has given them. Third, they always find a lesson in adversity. And the fourth, they never rely on the support of others. They have an indomitable spirit of self-help. Now these 4 common traits comes from Master Okawa's observations of all the great figures in the past. Because he's a reader. He reads 1,000 books a year. 3,000. 3,000. Oh, wow. Sometimes he reads 3,000 books a year. That's 10 books a day, almost. That's how fast he can read books. And he's read a lot of these important books that humanity has written in history, and he has condensed it to these 4 points. If you want to become a great leader, when you hit hardships, this is what you have to do. So today, I want to practice this. I want us to practice these 4 steps, but I kind of made it a little easier. I made it into 2 steps in order to be able to have an invincible thinking. The first step is you need to calmly accept your problems. Now, in this age, because we work in offices and we go to school and we're taught that if you face a problem, you have to fix it. You have to analyze everything and you got to fix it. But before you do all that fixing, you have to calmly accept the problems that are facing you in your life. You have to look at it in a spiritual perspective. What do I mean by a spiritual perspective? That goes back to the workbook of life philosophy. When you face a problem, ask yourself, what is God trying to teach me? What is the problem? What is necessary for my soul? By asking yourself this calmly, first of all, let me tell you, you attain a very peaceful mind in the midst of a storm. You'll be very, very calm. And you start taking control over your life. You start taking control over your circumstances. So first, I would like to practice this today. And then the second is face your problems. This is pretty obvious, but it's not that obvious. I'll get into this later on. So let's start with the first one, accepting your problems. I would like to show you one of Master's lectures. It's called Feel the Miracle. It's 10 minutes.
Let's take illness, for example. Not many people will intentionally try to get sick. You often get sick when you're least expecting it. There are many causes of illness, including neglecting your health, a lack of exercise, too much stress, and poor nutritional balance. You can resort to such worldly explanations. In fact, there is a good reason as to why you get sick. Illness manifests because it is necessary. In other words, illness manifests because it is necessary for your age and circumstances at that time. Say, for example, you didn't pass your exams. The result is trying to teach you that you have a problem that needs to be solved now, not that it was merely an issue of luck. It may be trying to teach you that you didn't put enough effort in the past, or it may be trying to teach you the harsh reality of the world, or it may be using the opportunity to try to teach you to be more diligent so that you don't fall or become conceited. In any case, please know that the phenomenon that is now manifesting is not a coincidence. A problem that is appropriate for you has appeared. This is true for a case where your child isn't so bright. There is definitely a reason behind your child being born with a disability too. In case of a problem between a married couple, there is some meaning behind how it is being presented. There is a good reason or meaning to a fight between husband and wife. The problem is trying to teach you something. In other words, the marital problem has appeared because now is the time when it must appear. It is trying to teach you something important. So please try to get an understanding of what that is. You must not use the problem as a tool to blame yourself or others without trying to understand it. When solving a problem at your workplace, you tend to think about it analytically. You analyze it in different ways, such as investigating the cause, classifying it into good or bad, and narrowing down results. Then you decide how to solve it. This is a method often used in companies. At work, you certainly have to solve problems using this method. But in the world of religion, which is quite different from the world of work, you should think that a problem arises because there is some essential meaning behind it. Therefore, please don't be so quick to come to a conclusion. The problem is manifesting for a reason, so just humbly accept what has appeared before you. For example, it's okay to individually make an effort and try to fight the illness when it manifests. There is a rehabilitation process and various other efforts you can do to get over your illness. However, accept the fact that you became sick without repelling it. Please accept that this issue has manifested during this point in your life. You may have a dispute between you and your partner, but please accept it. You may have a problem between you and your child, but please accept it. You may have a problem between you and your parents, but please accept it. The problem may not be unique to you. Everyone else will be dealing with their own problems. At the time, simply think that one of the problems in your workbook of life has appeared and be willing to quietly accept it. Please know that there are no coincidences in this world. In addition, not all problems can be solved in the same way you do with your tasks at work. When you humbly accept your problem, a path will certainly open up. You may wonder why a particular event is happening to you, even when you have studied really hard, have taken so much care of your family, have been so devoted to your parents, or are very attractive. Nevertheless, I want you to try accepting it quietly. Spend time meditating. Don't try to solve the problem with your wisdom. Instead, try to pause your mind, a mind that is anxious about trying to reach a conclusion using your knowledge to judge about right or wrong, advantages or disadvantages, front or back, left or right, etc., actually makes you suffer even more. At that time, please just simply accept everything first. Without making judgments, please think that the will of the universe has manifested right here, right now. You will understand its meaning once it passes. You may understand this while you are still alive in this world, or in some cases, after you have left this world. I can't tell you exactly when, but please know that humbly accepting everything is also an important lesson in life too. People fall ill, but there are actually many important things to learn from being ill. For example, it may be telling you that your mind and body are unbalanced, that you are overconfident in your abilities, or that you should have another look at your family relationships. People who despise their mother and father might understand how their parents felt when they become sick. They may also come to understand the feelings of others better, or be able to view their work with a different perspective. Given that this could be a case where the illness is something necessary for your growth, becoming ill cannot be considered completely unfortunate. Therefore, stop thinking of the problem currently manifesting as something that has arisen due to some sort of mistake and stop blaming yourself or others. Please accept it. It is important to accept that the problem appeared because it is necessary for you now. And please calmly meditate on it. Please stop making decisions. You must not make any hasty judgments. At this time, please do not make any decisions about whether the problem is right or wrong, improving or deteriorating, or is something to abandon or to take. Please accept it quietly, since it is something that is appearing and necessary to you now. Because the will of the great universe is working and providing you with an issue that you need now. It is important to humbly and quietly accept the meaning. What is necessary for your spiritual training in this life definitely lies in this issue that has manifested. I'll say it again. Don't approach everything with a defensive mindset and try to solve it as you would at work. Instead, simply just accept it. And from that, please feel the will of the great universe or the mind of God or Buddha. Everyone tends to think that it would be good to sail straight towards success without any problems in life, but the reality is that there is not one person who is born on earth with that type of life plan. There are many pitfalls throughout your life, but you can't be told about them in advance. If you knew from the start that there was a pitfall, it would be easy to step aside and avoid it. However, you would not learn anything by doing that. You may think it is malicious, but somewhere in life there will definitely be pitfalls and you will fall into them. When this happens, please don't think that you just happen to have fallen in. That pitfall is something that was there from the start to make you fall. This is because it is something that you need to experience. When you fall in the pitfall and land hard on your bottom, please look up at the night sky. You need such kind of experience several times in your life. If you don't get over that period, you will not understand the real you, nor will you understand the feelings of others. You may think you are seeing the real shape of the world, but in reality you're not, as long as you have not gone through that period. You've fallen into a pitfall and can't get out, and are spending the night looking up at the starry sky, feeling helpless. That is the moment you are able to see something for the very first time. All alone, you will notice things such as how much people have given to you and supported you, how much you have overlooked the assistance of others, and notice that things you have taken credit for are actually things you shouldn't have. When you are surrounded by such immense feelings, you become one with the power of the great universe.
Thank you very much. For those who are, I'm not going to know my age, for those who've experienced the deep sorrow, or I'm talking to the camera right now because I'm starting this YouTube thing, so I'm going to upload all these lectures on YouTube. So to the people watching this on YouTube, like Master just said right now, there is moments in life where you hit a brick wall and you fall into that pitfall and you feel helpless, absolutely helpless. And you feel that there's just no way for you to get out of that hole. And we're going to do a meditation now of accepting your problems, but I want you to know that actually in the perspective, in the eyes of God, that is the actually most blissful moment. The most strongest hardship is the most actually happiest moment for you. Why is this? It's because when people go through deep sorrow, and after they have elevated from that hole, you start to understand others in a true meaning. Without this experience, you can't truly understand other people's emotions. And if you can't understand people's emotions, you will trip and you will hit a pitfall. Because that's how it was for me. So there's many different types of pains in life, right? Like Buddha said, the pain of birth, the pain of aging, the pain of illness, and the pain of death. Also, there's the pain of meeting people that you don't like at school. It could be even in your household. Some households, problems of why do I have this son? Why do I have this father? Why this mother? Why this daughter? Why this grandma? Why this stepmom? All these people that you don't want to meet can cause you a lot of sufferings. And also, separation from the people you love is very, very hard one, I think. I was listening to the radio yesterday, 103.5, and they were saying, one of the guys were calling in, and he's like, I just broke up with my girlfriend, and it was a love relation, it was a long distance relationship, and I feel that I've lost a big part of me. And he was crying over the radio, and that's very tough. Actually, right now I'm about to enter that phase of separation from my loved one, which is my dog. That he was with me for like 15 years. He's a black Labrador, and he is about to pass away. And this little Labrador, he was such a cute puppy, right? And when we were having problems in my family, huge problem in my family, there was just no way up, right? There was a huge domestic war going on, and it was with my sister and my mother, and it was a huge problem, and there was no way up. So my mom just buys this cute little puppy and brings him home. We named him Love. And Love, he's a very compassionate puppy, and he can really read people's emotions. Like when my sister's crying, he would walk up to her and put his chin right on her knees. And then when she's happy, he would wag his tail and would just jump on her and, very, very happy. And through that, we're actually able to overcome this family crisis. And so he was a little angel for us. But then he's about to pass away now. And even though I haven't seen him for like 3 years now, it's just there's this deep sadness welling up inside of me. It's a big part of my Hagimoto family that we're about to lose. So all these sad things do occur, but please, that is the moment when we need to grasp a spiritual perspective, accepting it with feeling the warmth of God, with feeling His compassion. Don't try to solve it. He didn't say this in his lecture, but from a standpoint of a believer, from a standpoint of a person who firmly believes in God, I want to tell you, when you accept your problems, don't just accept it with your own mind, but remember that the golden, huge, compassionate hands are holding you and loving you and thinking of you and understands you. Please know that God is always watching over you in those saddest moments. And by believing in Him, you will truly feel His powers. And that's what I want to do right now. Please think about the problems and worries that you currently have or you had before. Contemplate what kind of goal for your soul training you set before you're born in order to improve the tendencies of your soul. Then, please accept your problems as a blessing in disguise from God. Now, please reflect on your life now. We're going to have 7 minutes. Please recollect your memories in life. And those sad moments, or right now would be the best. If you're facing a problem right now, please contemplate deeply, not from your eyes, but from the eyes of God. He is loving you. He's never stopped loving you. He's loving you at that moment the most. Please accept it. What's the issue that you need to overcome? Ask yourself. Ask your guardian spirits. We'll take 7 minutes. And when we do contemplation in happy science, it's important to have a straight in your back. And it's good to put your hands, palms facing upwards on your knees. Palms facing upwards on your knees. Or you can also put your hands in prayer, whichever you would like. You can put it in prayer, or you can put like this on your hands. And before we begin the contemplation, I'll recite a little sutra in the booklet that you had in the beginning. It's called Prayer to Guardian and Guiding Spirits. But I will recite it for you. And it is a way to connect with the guardian spirits. So while I'm reciting this, please feel that what we learned in the beginning, your guardian spirit is here right next to you. Even through camera, he or she is right next to you. In the spiritual world, there's no such thing as distance. When you think of them, they're right next to you. So please that they're right here and ask them that question. For Happy Science members, we're trying to do missionary work in overseas. It's hard. It is very hard. But what is God trying to teach us? Please contemplate deeply upon this question. First, I'll recite Prayer to Guardian and Guiding Spirit.
Prayer to guardian and guiding spirits. My guardian and guiding spirits, deep inside of me.
Now please contemplate deeply about the problems and worries that you're facing right now and what God is trying to teach you. Thank you very much. And during the tough moments in your life, please practice this at your homes too. Before you go to sleep, Master Okawa taught us just 10 minutes is fine. Just get in a calm vibration, and ask yourself what they're trying to teach you. And then, that was the first step. So let's accept the problem that we are facing right now. Accept it. Now that you've accepted it, the next point is what makes invincible thinking very, very important. This is the most actually important for the teachings of invincible thinking. And that is revolutionizing your perspective. I would like to show you a video of 3 minutes.
If you adopt the point of view that human beings are all repeatedly reincarnated in this world in order to further their spiritual training, you will see that your current spiritual training, which you had considered to be ordeals, can be understood and received in a different way. If you base your thinking on the fact that you possess an immortal soul that is repeatedly being reborn on earth, then your outlook on life should undergo a complete change. In particular, you will realize that the problems in life that you have right now is providing you with some indication of the reason why you were reincarnated this time. Understand that the thing that is causing the most suffering right now shows the task you need to overcome in this life. So even if you feel that you are being swept away in a whirlpool of suffering, it actually means that you are presently facing the most important problem in your life. It is the most meaningful moment in the spiritual training you are currently undergoing. This makes it a fascinating subject for study, and it is a truly exciting moment of your life. It means that you have finally entered the ring for the final bout. Until now, you will have spent a long period in training, shadowboxing with an imaginary opponent, but that time is now over and the match is about to begin. When the referee calls out for the fighter in the red corner, it is time to take off your gown and enter the ring. Once you enter the ring and think to yourself, gosh, I gotta go to the bathroom, it's too late for that. When you're called up, you have to stand up and fight in the ring. If you're presently in the throes of a seemingly inextricable problem, then it means that you have been practicing for the title match for this moment for 1, 2, even 6 months. But finally, the time has come to enter the ring. It was for this moment that you were born. In fact, even before you were born, you may have spent decades or even centuries in the other world preparing for this moment. And it was only after you felt you were strong enough that you decided to come down to earth and carrying out this ordeal. This means that you have spent several centuries, or in some cases, much more, to build up to this day. You have devoted that much time training in preparation for the big match. Once you have entered the ring, it is too late to start making excuses. Once you are up there, you know what you have to do. You have an opponent in front of you, so you should not worry about anything else but to knock the opponent out. You have no choice but to knock out your opponent. If your opponent was a person, they might hit you back and it could be very painful, but the thing you are faced with is not a human being. What you feel as an insurmountable problem is in fact nothing more than a mirage. It is simply your own karma that has appeared in front of you in the form of some problem or worry. The person who faces you in the ring is not another person, but is a battle between yourself and your karma, and you have to win this match at any cost. That is the reason for your present incarnation. This is just an explanation of revolutionizing your perspective, looked at a different angle. It is a way to explain the idea of revolutionizing your perspective from the point of view of courage and enthusiasm. For instance, if you think of yourself as climbing up to the ring, then you will not be able to stop yourself feeling invigorated. After all, it is a battle that you have been training for all these years. So why is it now, when the crucial moment has arrived, you are still making excuses, saying, I can't help it, if I'm not that intelligent, or it is all the fault of my environment, or blame it on my parents, or it was my brother's fault, or it's not my fault if I'm poor. You are now in the ring. Out from the red corner, touch gloves with the person from the blue corner, and you are glaring at each other. What would you think if someone in that position were to say, actually, I haven't done any training these days. Oh, my legs are a little rusty and, yeah, I had a sore back since yesterday. My back has been killing me since yesterday. My shoulder is all swollen and I can hardly walk. I've got no muscles, see? I don't have any spirit either. It's all my trainer's fault and I have not done any training. Well, you know, thinking about it, it makes no difference to me if I win or lose in this match anyway. Hey, everybody thinks I'm going to lose. You would think this person was an idiot and give him a good punch in the face. It is no good to have this kind of attitude when you are in the ring. You have to hide your weaknesses and give it your best shot. The moment when you come face to face with your karma, you have to put on a brave face and go for it. This is the way you have to think. Even if you are at a disadvantage, don't show it. Be determined not to let your opponent know that he has a chance. Even though you may only weigh 140 pounds, you must stick out your chest and behave as if you have 160. You must make your opponent think that you have the advantage in weight and that therefore they stand a good chance of being knocked out by you. Whatever happens, you have to always think in a positive fashion.
Thank you very much. So, after you've accepted it, here comes the enthusiastic part. Face it. Fight it. Don't run away from the problem. Don't detour around the problem. Look at it straight into their eyes and face that problem. the strong resolution to face that problem is the first step for you to overcome that suffering. Now, this will give you a lot of courage. Once you accept it, you will be able to face it. Face it, because you know that there's a meaning behind what you have to learn from this suffering. You know the meaning behind it. You know it. So then face it. Grow from it. Learn from it. Become stronger from it. I saw a picture in Facebook that looked like this. 2 bananas. One banana in the red ring, standing up, looking at the opponent. And the blue banana is all bruised up, laying down on the floor. I don't want you to be this banana. People who are suffering, 90% are this banana. It's that, I'm using the word bananas, it's kind of, I'm serious. Like, if you picture it, it's easy to understand your emotions. When you're in your gloomy state, you're this little banana. Now ask yourself, do you want to be this banana? No. Michael, do you want to be this banana?
No.
No, right? You'd rather be this banana. Yes. Now, face your karma. Sometimes we lose against that karma. And sometimes we end up bruised up. That is when that banana has to look up into the starry skies and ask himself to God, what's the problem that I'm facing? Once you notice it, stand up again. That acceptance will heal your soul. It will definitely heal your soul. And then stand up again and fight, and fight it. And if you fall again, it doesn't matter. In Japanese, there's a word called shiten haki. That means, even if you fall 7 times, get up 8 times. Now, mathematically speaking, that's weird. If you fall 7 times, you're only supposed to wake up 7. But what Master Okawa is saying is that you have to have the spirit of waking up even 1 more time. This is the spirit to face your life problems. With this spirit, I tell you, problems become like a New York cheesecake. So this, we have Master Okawa. He's a very strong spiritual leader, and he can communicate with guardian spirits. I myself had the opportunity for him to talk to my guardian spirit. So I know that this is 1,000% true. People in the camera, believe me, it is 1,000% true. That guardian spirit, which Master put in the channeler, knew things that the channel did not know. It is real. So, he did a spiritual message of Donald Trump a few days ago. Donald Trump's guardian spirit. And you know how he is always criticized by the media? So then, the questioners asked him, why do you purposely do this? Why do you say things that the media will criticize you? Can you take it? They asked this question to the guardian spirit of Donald Trump. And then, the guardian spirit says, criticism is like a New York cheesecake. He loves it. He's that banana right there. He's not this banana, he's this banana. He is ready to fight on to these problems. Now, political views, let's put that aside. I'm talking about mentality right now. Political views, let's put that aside. Put that away. The spirit, the mentality that the guardian spirit had was this strong, standing, I shouldn't call the president candidate a banana, but this strong, standing banana. Now, this is this picture is enough for you to take home today. When you're feeling down, don't be this banana. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up 8 times. Fall? It doesn't matter. That's why we're here. That's why Dharma friends are here. That's why I want you to be a Happy Science member. If you become a Happy Science member, you awaken to your guardian spirit's true power. You feel the existence. You feel the light. You feel truly invincible by becoming a member and going through our disciplines. I'm not a con artist. I truly say this from the bottom of my soul because I've experienced it myself. So today and on, I want you to be a strong, prosperous, not a banana, person who can face your problems courageously. And where does it begin? Where does this courage and happiness begin? Put on a big smile on your face. When you feel down, get a mirror and smile. The biggest smile. And look into your own eyes and smile and tell yourself, invincible thinking, invincible thinking, invincible thinking. And if that doesn't work, if you're too depressed that doesn't work, do that first acceptance practice again. And go be calm and accept. And then if you feel that you're ready to go, fight. Happy Science were teachings of always of the middle path. The holy middle path. In the beginning, what we explained of acceptance is the importance of having faith. The latter half was the acceptance of fighting your problems with the indomitable spirit of self-help. Self-help and faith will lead you to the middle path, which will lead you to a great happiness that you cannot learn in any other philosophies. Remember, self-help and faith. It's not just one side. Just having faith and praying is not enough. But just having self-help, you'll become an egotistical person. You'll become very arrogant. And arrogance is a sin because it stops your development. It stops your progress. That is why arrogance is a sin. So that is why I ask you to learn from Happy Science, to learn from the teachings of Master Okawa. I tell you, I assure you, that from day on, from this moment on, this time, 11:37 and on, you'll become a totally different person. I hope you will join us and come see us maybe every week or maybe once a month. Doesn't matter, but please join this huge congregation. It'll show you a totally new perspective of life. Thank you very much.